Good morning, we are Game Marketing and today we're evaluating Ola's current positioning strategy and recommending a solution to improve their current market share. Ola, as you know, is a ride-sharing company that aims to shake up and dominate the car for hire, wider transportation market in Australia. Within an increasingly competitive ride-share industry, direct competitors include Uber, Didi, Shiba and 13 Cabs. Looking at the focus strategy theory, Ola is currently service-focused, providing a single service to a broad market. Ola's current market entry strategy saw a heavy discounting in its service, still with consistent reductions up to 50%. Positioning Ola as a cost-focused provider. In order to gain a competitive advantage in the oversaturated rideshare market, Ola should move towards a differentiation-focused approach. When looking at Ola's service offerings, a clear competitive advantage of their relatively low cost and high availability of drivers isn't fully being utilised. On their positioning map, Ola's 75,000 of drivers is comparatively higher than their competitors. This distinction from their competitors is accompanied by Ola's low price, giving them the opportunity to differentiate their services and boost their market share. The high number of drivers is due to the better employee treatment and lower driver commission fee, with a standard commission fee of only 15% of the fare compared to Uber's 27.5%. Promoting their greater treatment of workers is another key area of competitive differentiation. Ola's main issues falls under the fourth gap of the GAPS model, the communication gap. This gap describes the lack of communication between a company's actions and consumers' perception. Previously, Ola is focused mainly on promotions in positioning themselves as a low-cost provider, which does not differentiate themselves from their competitors. To successfully move towards a differentiation-focused strategy, bridging the communication gap by repositioning their brand and promotion strategies to incorporate the higher driver availability and better treatment of employees.
Thanks, Ada. Now let's look at a market analysis. Ride sharing as an industry has become increasingly competitive over the past 5 years, with a total of 20 companies offering ride sharing services within Australia. Uber was the first to enter the market in 2012 and has the largest market share at a staggering 86.6%. Gen Z and millennials are shown to be the primary users of ride-sharing services. A Roy Morgan report in 2020 found that younger demographics are more open to testing new players within the market, while the 35 to 50 plus demographic primarily stick to Uber. This demographic are less likely to look for alternatives, and their high income makes them less enticed by heavy discounting from new players within the market. While alternatively, the 25 to 34 age range has multiple ride-sharing platforms on their smartphone and will often use the platform that will best provide services for their needs, with driver availability being the key factor in their choice rather than the price. This is compared to the 25 and under segment, who are more price conscious. This lack of brand loyalty can also be seen with 92% of Ola riders also using Uber. Moving on to the target demographic, we believe that Ola should focus on this younger demographic of Gen Z and millennial consumers to increase their market share, positioning themselves away from the major market player Uber, through not only focusing on their lower price, but also their high number of drivers and availability of services in the cities that they cater to. A 2019 AFLAC report shows that 92% of millennial and Gen Z consumers are more likely to buy products from an ethically conscious company, with 82% of those consumers believing ethical brands outperform similar brands or companies that lack commitment to ethical principles. The millennial demographic highly values transparency and authenticity when making purchase decisions. Ola can position themselves as a socially responsible company through their commitment to providing fair wages for drivers, thus creating a more positive brand image.
To ensure positive consumer evaluations of the multiple brand messages presented by any company, message consistency is required, and this consistency is ensured when every decision a brand makes is fueled by their positioning. By taking a proactive and worker-prioritized approach and effectively communicating this, Ola will be able to positively influence its brand's positioning in the eyes of conscientious consumers. Placing a clear emphasis upon the treatment of their workers will bring clarity to Ola's marketing strategies, campaigns, and promotional tactics. Through this, they will be differentiating themselves from the bulk of their competition, enabling them to gain a competitive reputation due to the unique value they bring to their consumers. In recent times, more trustworthy connections between companies and their consumer community are being facilitated by shared values, particularly when it comes to ethical standards. For millennials that care about the moral nature of the companies they support, Ola will provide them with a favourable alternative within the on-demand transport industry. Although service-focused organisations typically provide a narrow range of services to a wide market, The highly saturated ride market calls for Ola to differentiate themselves in order to target a more specific consumer. This will allow them to cement their brand identity across all channels, which in turn will bridge their gap and help to motivate more long-standing consumers.
Creating a higher employee satisfaction will have a positive flow-on effect as demonstrated through the service profit chain. This is done through promoting and upholding an ethical commitment to the fair treatment of workers. Enhancing the internal service quality aspect leads to a greater employee satisfaction, which correlates to more people wanting to drive with Ola and being more willing to give a greater service to the customer, leading to an increase in customer loyalty and thereby increasing revenue and profitability. This increasing revenue can then be looped back into the chain to increase the internal service quality once again through drivers being able to make more through getting more rides, empowering them to stay with Ola, giving them the ability to improve their vehicles and motivation to keep providing great service to the customer. While on the other hand, positioning Ola's faster service delivery due to the higher number of drivers, you can enhance the lifestyle component of the multidimensionality of the customer experience. As analyzed by Lobau, with the rise of the on-demand economy, Ola's targeted younger demographic consider themselves to be more time poor than previous generations. Ola can adhere to this lifestyle and align with their value of efficiency through a faster delivery of service, increasing the value perception consumers have towards Ola. By closing the communication gap and putting ethical principles at the core of everything you do, Ola can fulfill its goal of creating a unique impression in the customer's mind. So the customer associates something specific and desirable with the brand that is distinct in such an oversaturated market. By repositioning from a cost-focused business model to a more socially conscious brand with a faster delivery of service. Through changing your positioning statement, Ola can differentiate itself from the competitors and increase market share. So you should position yourselves towards younger, conscientious, and time-poor consumers as a rideshare company that provides the benefit of supplying a high abundance of well-paid drivers with the value of offering a more socially responsible rideshare option.